Howdy, folks. So, today I had this idea of uh, going through my audio files that I have on my phone and playing them for you guys and seeing what comes of it. I don't know what I have in here. I have things dated back as far as 2019, 2 years ago. And actually a couple of them. A couple of them I know. But anyway, I figured I'd just play them and kind of just give commentary behind it. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm just going to start at the top.
All right. So, recording dog.
Dogs barking. Okay, so primarily what I did is I would walk down the street and I have my beanie on with my headphones on and the mic's on there. And I think there's an issue with that because like you can hear the rustling against the microphone, and I think that's what we're listening. So while I think it's just too disruptive, I'm not gonna do that to anyone to upload that and have anyone listen to that. Yeah, no. So we'll see if it gets any better. But once I start talking. Try another one.
Again, just doing a mic check 1, 2, making sure I'm heard.
See, the mic check's fine. See, when I started it, it was fine, but now it's not.
See, that's why I still remember it. I was just thinking about Breaking Bad, and specifically the Gus character, where he was making a deal and making amends with, or building a relationship, maintaining a relationship with Walter and Jesse. He invited them to his house, and he made them a home-cooked meal. And I think it was his mother's recipe that he shared with Walt. I would argue that it was signifying, like, how strong of a bond he was looking to build with these characters. Whereas with the cartel, when he had his meetings with them, he would just have a simple veggie tray. So
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. Like, well, obviously I said it. But no, I remember thinking about it, and I forget what it was, but like I remember people, like, I heard this quote, like, you cook for those who you love, or something in the sort like that. And for whatever reason, I made the connection back to Breaking Bad, and I thought about when Gus shared dinner with Walt, and that meal was specifically his mother's recipe, and then you take it a step down, and then Gus shared a meal with Jesse. And I don't know off the top of my head if it was the same meal, but it just wasn't brought up. So I think it was like a step below something so significant, right? But nonetheless, he still shared a meal in his home with Jesse. And then anytime he had a meeting with the cartel, again, he would just have something, really quick. You grab a veggie tray, peel the top off, there it is, good enough. And I don't know, just to the show ended 8 years ago and it's still so significant. Like, I think back on it, like all the things they did right in that show, and I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it feels like it. I don't know, I guess perhaps some art can be interpreted if not, but that's definitely how I took it in all these years later, and I just think that's so cool. So there's that one. No.
here we are.
So I think I know not to wear my beanie over my headphones if I'm gonna be recording because that is just horrible.
Here we are. Mic check 1, 2.
Another mic check.
Alright, seems like this is recording just fine. Might be a little weird.
It's just, at best, it's muffled. Well, that sucks because like, oh man, I had some good stuff I wanted to speak about on these, but like, I can't use it. I just can't use it.
Mic check 1, 2. Here we go.
Okay, so I think I know what this is. Hold on. Sorry for that. I'm so annoyed with myself. I just want to reach out to myself. Get it together.
How's it going? Good. Here for the Toyota V6. Spoke yesterday a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
So, I was just real quick. I know you guys mentioned that you, I don't know all the terminology, but you guys said you like deck or do all the stuff to the block. I'm just curious to know, like, what that all means necessarily.
What's the name on it?
Nick?
Well, when we bore it out, we're going to make the cylinders bigger around. When we deck it, where the head gasket surfaces are, we're going to make that surface brand new. Hot tanking means we're going to clean it.
And so I guess when I gave it to you guys, I guess I was wondering, like, I thought you guys would communicate with me, like, let me know, like, what needed to be done.
Right, that's what we have right here. Well, I have the paperwork when I checked you in, and if you don't understand something, you just got to ask me, and I'll do the best I can to explain it. Most of our customers, when they're going to work on building their own motor, they understand a lot of the terminology, and so I apologize if I assumed that you knew what we were talking about.
Okay.
There's the list.
Okay.
When I checked you in, I had you written down for clean, and check the block for cracks, and boring it out for the new pistons, the oversized pistons,
Right.
and then decking the block where the head gasket surfaces go. This is all stuff like Toyotas are horrible for head gasket problems. When we deck that, it's going to give it a much better finish than it had from the factory. Give you a much better chance of never having a head gasket problem with this if everything else is done correctly.
Okay.
The crankshaft.
Funny he says that. Okay, let me turn off the heater real quick. Oh, this is good. So, I'm not trying to speak ill. I'm just speaking facts right now, okay? I got recommended to these guys by someone. I'm not going to say who. But this person, so I went through them, got my block back. I've had it for about a month now. And the person that recommended me to them, their head gasket just went out after they rebuilt his engine. He had the truck for about 2 years. So it's funny. Yeah, these guys in the beginning, I don't recall if he just said like uh, there was paperwork or there wasn't. If there was paperwork, it didn't. He didn't explain like exactly what it all meant, but he did tell me verbally that he would let me know if it needed to be bored out or if this cylinders were okay, which never happened. They just did it. So they were like upcharging me for things that like didn't even need to be done, or at least to my knowledge, they didn't call ahead and let me know. So, but if there was no paperwork, then it just seems kind of like shoddy to me. And I had to like keep referencing to them. I had to keep calling them. It took about 10 weeks before I heard anything from them. No, I had to reach out to them, and they're like, "Who are you? What's it for?" And I'm just like, "Okay, interesting." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll let you know next week what kind of parts you need." And that wasn't even the agreement. Like, we didn't even go over if I needed the parts yet or not. It was we had to get to that. So like it was like he just assumed, but I just gave benefit of the doubt. I was like, well, maybe he just doesn't have paperwork in front of him yet. So, but as soon as he gets in front of him, he'll let me know. But then that never happened. Um, okay, so no, he did have paperwork, but I didn't get a copy of it. And again, but like he was supposed to like let me know like what's good, what's not. So anyway, yeah, we get to where he gives me the call, and he's like, okay, well, we need about $1,000 worth of parts. And I was like, that seems kind of steep. I just wanted to put the block together and hang the pistons and put the crankshaft in. That's it, right? So it's just the short block. I was like, $1,000 for that. I was like, so what? Each piston's like 150, $200. Like that's a lot of money. So I was like, what parts? And he's like, well, we're gonna get the head gasket. We're gonna get all these other parts. I'm like, no, I don't need those. I just want you to put the short block together. And yeah, then so this visit is the one after that because then he told me, why need you to come in and sign this invoice? I'm like, all right, that's fine. But he was trying to pressure me into them building my entire engine. And I think that's what happened to the other person I know that recommended me to them, is that they pressured him into rebuilding his entire engine, and then it failed. And then to hear him talk about it, like, and be all bravado about it and stuff, but it failed. Like, it was not a pleasant experience. Like, I get it, like, some guys just know and they go through the things and whatnot, but like, I don't know, maybe from a business standpoint, like you can be like, well, do you understand what's going on or whatever? But I just feel like I'm like I was intimidated, but I just didn't feel like I was going to get any information out of them. They were real hesitant to speak on it. After this time, every time I went in there, he was very short with me. Because I think this time, because I had my headphones in, I had obviously the mic right here. I think he knew I was recording or something. I don't know. But yeah, very interesting. Man, yeah. So anyway, yeah, let's just hear what else he has to say.
Is where your bearings go on the bottom end, your connecting rod bearings, and then the bearings that put the crankshaft in the block. So that piece there needed to be machined. That's normal. Everybody does it. But yours is in really good shape, so we didn't have to grind it, where we take it to a smaller diameter and get a bigger bearing. We just polished it. We're going to use original size bearings because it was in really good shape, and that saved you a couple of bucks. And then there's you're going to see hanging the pistons on there. That's where we take your connecting rods and remove the old pistons and install the new ones on it.
Okay.
Some pistons have little clips you take in and out. They're kind of a pain in the ass, but you can do them yourself at home. Some pistons are with a press bit. So we're going to use a press to take them apart, and then what we do is we take the connecting rod, and it goes in a heater. It heats it up and expands it. And we've got a jig that we set it up in and slide the wrist pin through, and then when it cools down, it clamps down on it.
Okay.
It's a little bit of an interesting process. Something that you don't want to mess with at home.
Right.
But we're going to put your short block together. So we're going to put the crank rods and pistons in the block for you.
Right.
So, and that's the parts I'm going to get you is new pistons, a 20 over.
Okay, so like you say, you put the short block together, and like those bearings you speaking about, like I hope those don't go out like the gasket did on I'm gonna call my friend's truck. So, oh man, I'm hoping it. I'd be so pissed if after 2 years it goes out, and that's the problem. Like, oh, I don't know.
Rings to match, and then rod and main bearings. That's the only parts I'm going to supply you with.
Right.
Just enough stuff to put this short block together. You're going to put all your own covers on. You're going to put your heads on.
Yep.
You'll put all that stuff on.
Yep.
Whatever parts you need.
Perfect. Yep. All right. Yeah.
And if you get it home and you're decide that you're not having much fun with it, you can always bring it back and I can do more.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is the end of the line for us. You know, once you pick it up and go home and decide that, you know, hey, I don't like this, or this is more trouble than it was worth, or hey, I'm super busy at work, I'm going to go do some time and a half and pay Jeremy to put this together the rest of the way. You can always change your mind. We can always do more. I can't do less if I've already done it.
Right.
But you can always bring it, and lots of guys do that. They'll go home, they'll bring their stuff back later, like, hey, you guys finish this. I'm like, no problem. We don't care.
Yeah, no, that's...
So keep that in mind. Don't worry about it. When you get home, you get flustered. Seems like this might be one of your first ones. You can always, and you can call for help too if you got questions. So the best I can to walk you through whatever on the phone. I do that every day for people.
That's perfect.
Work for, okay?
That's great.
All right. Do that. Do the staples and that. Make sure we're. Okay.
So yeah, like I said, I feel like he knew I was recording that time. And any other time he didn't. Whatever. But you know what? I'll say he put on a good show right there, and I think that's as best as I can leave it at that. So, what else? This one. What's this?
All right, going again. This is final stretch. I think the last thing is seeing if I can put my shield down. I think I will. Might sound a little echoey, but
I was trying to speak. So I have this idea, like I have all these thoughts when I'm writing by myself in my head. I was like, I want to capture them. I want to be able to do exactly what I'm doing here. And the only problem is it just sounds so muffled. It's such poor quality, I guess.
Because I had this idea in my mind that I wasn't listening. Well, I put the bike on. And go get gas.
Okay, that's not going to play that. Yeah, it's pretty difficult to like sit there and record. Some people can get away with it.
Mic check again. This is with my
So many mic checks.
another mic check.
Like I said.
Mic check 1 2. Shit, so I was just saying on the way here, man. Maybe if all these riots would be happening, you know, like all these rednecks saying, "Oh yeah, go ahead and come on out here, rural America, man." No, that should be happening. I was like, "What the fuck you talking about, man? Like, you forfeited these cities. And you literally ran to the hills. What do you mean? Like, give them 100 years and they're gonna take that too. You know what I mean? Like, how you gonna act like you winning? Because you're not."
I don't know where I was on that. But I think I do know what I was saying. So pretty much it come down to the sense of like, yeah, like 100 years ago, like all these guys out here. This is when people in like small town, rural America were protecting Main Street and First Street, with their guns. When all these rioters were supposed to like go take over these towns and whatnot, but I think they did like the same way. Like I think it'll become overpopulated, and then it'll push everyone back out. Like if you look at on a map, right, and you're like, okay, everyone started here, but then as it got overpopulated, then some people moved out, and those are the people saying that they'll protect what they got. But in reality, I think over time, as those get more and more populated, they will just push people even further out. So they say they'll stand up to it, but I don't think of it. I don't think they will. I don't think. I think that's just the natural course of things. Excuse me. To have the people with that mindset eventually taking over. It's such a, for lack of better words, I say taking over. Like large cities or heavily densely populated areas. That's what I'm trying to say. Jeez, I cannot speak right now.
You know what you're saying about murder?
What I'm saying about murder is that we are all God's children, and if you want to be the top child, you need to start killing.
And this is Darian saying this, yes?
Darian's razor.
Oh, see, he just...
Wow. Sorry for the beeping. I don't know what was said right now. I just couldn't get my head over the beeping, so I just whatever.
So as of recently, I've been reaching out to a lot of people that I used to make fun of a long time ago. You know, I was really mean to them. And yeah, it's hard for me to remember everyone. There's still there's still a few I want to touch base with if I can. But here's the who, what, where, and why. Who are the people, the what I did was make fun of them. And it was unwarranted. One thing so why? Well, there's a few parts to this. So why was, because I was angry. I had my own trauma, beef, whatever in my life. And, I was picked on, whatever, and I channeled it and dealt it right back to someone else.
After, like, analyzing the entire situation and trying to be objective about it, I've come to the realization that if you're not being the bully, you're being bullied, right? And vice versa. There really is no in between. That would be idealistic to have for us humans as a society, as a civilization, to be neutral and to treat each other with respect. But I have found time and time again that when someone's in a position of power, or just for instance, that people will exploit it and they will bully to make themselves feel better. And that's just how we work. I honestly believe that's human nature. I don't think there's any way we can quell that or fix it or whatever. Like, I just truly believe what it is. I took the position to stand up and apologize to people I used to pick on because I realized the fault in it, and I am aiming to achieve that perfect neutral, that respect, that I refuse to be bullied, which has arguably got me in more trouble than being a bully. I have found that, like, when I stand up for myself, there seems to be more repercussions than when I would instigate or be an antagonist. I think that's the word, antagonist, protagonist, I don't know, whatever. But, like, very interesting. So, but like as I try to achieve that neutral, but on the day-to-day basis, like as I interact with everyone, it is constantly challenged and put to the test. And I try to share my ideas with some people, and yeah, but like ultimately, like once people go into that coast mode where they're just not thinking in the moment, we're kind of just gliding and going with the group and whatnot. Like everyone resorts back to that. And I know I read some Robert Greene books, and he explains just that. The laws of human nature. He definitely touches on that. I forget which chapter it is, but I know it's in the second half of the book. I think I'm about 75% into that book right now, and I think it's right around there where he describes that. But like, I try to be aware of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Yeah, so with reaching out to people I used to be mean to when I was a kid, I didn't understand it then. You know what I mean? Well, I think I did understand to be bully or be bullied, and I'd rather be the bully because it just feels better. And I think everyone agrees with that, and they do agree with that. Like the only time people have a problem against it is when they become the victim and they become powerless. It's the only time people have a problem with how it's set up. I have a problem with how it's set up either way because it's not right. Like we are the most advanced living organism on this planet, and there's no reason why we can't achieve that. No reason. And I just want better for us as a society, as a civilization. I want us all to do better, and I believe it's achievable.
And it was twofold because I also, that's how I impress people. That's how I gain friends. And, which, well, as of today, I know that is completely wrong, and I'll get on more on that later if I remember. But, yeah, so I did that for as long as I can remember. I think 17, 18 or something, in high school, middle school, definitely. So everything that I have remember.
I did. I did that throughout my school years. Well, I'd say middle school. Then once I hit high school, everything changed. Like I became distant. And so I felt in my mind I almost opted out of society, the social interactions with people. I didn't become bullied. I didn't become bullied. But I almost felt like I was a ghost. Like I was there but wasn't. Like I'd say funny things and like Nick and then whatever, and that was it. Like I never felt like I was really linked in with the inner moldings of society. I mean, at school or at home. Like I felt like I was just there observing and kind of just taking notes. Shout out George Carlin. But it's true. And so yeah, I think that was that was about high school. And then then once I entered the workforce, I came to the realization that there's no such thing as a grown up. Shout out Joe Rogan. And that high school just continues your entire life. Like that's where people peak. A lot of people peak in high school. And I just think it's really unfortunate because again, like I just think we're capable of so much more. Yet we kind of just get to that level and just stop learning and stop trying to do better, and it's just highly unfortunate. And then when I try to exemplify such things, there's a lot of backlash, a lot of ridicule, but I guess why I keep doing it, even though I become marginalized because of it, to me, it's what makes life worth living. Trying to do better. So, trying to become a better person. So, I don't know, like, even after the end of the days, even after, a billion years from now and the sun burns up the oceans and it's all said and done, it's like, I would like to be a part of the rise to the peak of what human beings are capable of. Because if not, what are we doing? We're just running around stabbing each other in the neck while we're trying to hold ours from bleeding. You know, unless that's a great analogy, but it just seems so pointless. It's really, I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be a problem if I wasn't conscious of it. I'm so conscious of it, and I understand like what's going on. Perhaps I'm too aware. It just drives me bonkers. I don't know. Let's see what else I gotta say.
That I've done mean stuff to. I reached out to him, and so far the reception has been positive, which I'm happy about. How am I doing this? Like, well, I'm just doing so through, social media. People are pretty easy to find. Corey Hendrickson, that was his name. Oh, I'm so glad I'm recording this. So, he's another person I need to reach out to.
Yeah, so there's another person that I made fun of, that I remember making fun of. And he took, I don't know if it was so necessary. This is crazy because I'm going to upload this and I know like it might cause something or it might be nothing. Or him to see it or whatever. I don't know. But like, a lot of people I went to high school with, like you can see them on social media and there they are. But I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to pan out. Like I'm thinking of the bigger picture now. I'm already thinking like, what if he sees it and then it becomes like a thing, whatever, and it's like dan. But so I guess I'll just say it right now if I don't get to talk to him before then. It's like, dude, I'm sorry for that. Like being that type of person, Like I was just trying to state, like, I had my own inadequacies. Well, that's the right word. I do that a lot, but I just think it's I could have done better, and yeah, I apologize, man. And if there's anything I can do to make it right, please feel free to let me know within reason. I throw that little disclaimer in there. Because what if they're not over it and they're like, go jump off a bridge? And then I'm like, well, I can't do that, bud. But anyway.
That was pretty mean too. Why am I doing this? The big why. Like I was just in the shower and I had like multiple things running through my head. It's like, am I doing it because like I'm looking for some sort of like, one guy asked, or he said that it seems like that I'm on a road to redemption. I didn't really think I was. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not, but like that's not like my main motivator. There is no one factor, one variable that's playing into this. There's multiple. No one thing set me on this, path or, making these motions. But I do know that each one was important in my needing to do this. Booey! He wants a window seat. You're fucking me up. But
That's my son.
one of the things was my past stuff. Part of it's karma. Part of it's like, well, maybe I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't do that, or stuff from the past, I've learned through experience, my own experience, like one of the people I made fun of was for being gay, and then I've had my own gay experiences, where, I'm not gay, or whatever, I don't know how you want to word that. I've had my...
Okay, first, there's a couple things I want to say. First, it was the positivity. Like, I believe what you put out, you get back. So that was another reason why I did it. Like, so I dare say investment. So I think in the long term, I was looking to get something out of it too. But I think it's because it's a win-win-win. And I guess I was seeing problems in my own life, and I thought to myself, well, maybe there's something I can do to clear up old debts that will pave a better future for myself. Whilst also, quelling some of the harm I've done in others. And like I said, I just felt like it was a win-win-win. And yeah. Second, the gay thing. So yeah, like I don't know. So like I had some curiosity and whatnot. I went through it. Like I'm not I'm not bashful about it. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's interesting. Like I think love is love if it's consensual and someone is in the right, mind state, whatever. Like that's my stance on it. I know some people don't feel that way, but whatever. I'm comfortable with where I sit, right here. But yeah, I don't know. Like so, yeah, to sit there like, and then that's another thing. It's like I said that I was hypocritical. It's like, well, I used to because of this guy, but then I ended up being, my experimenting and whatnot. I'm like, well, so then it was logic. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I will rarely argue against logic. So, yeah, I mean, so again, there's so many factors that played into it and why I felt I needed to, I guess, go on that road of redemption. Like that guy said. Perhaps he was right. I guess I just didn't see it that way, or I didn't want to see it that way, or I didn't want someone else to define what I was doing. Like I wanted to do it myself, but perhaps he was right.
Own experiences with men. I've been curious and experimented. So there's like not the knowledge. I don't know if I was like denying what I was feeling. I don't know, like whatever reason I did it back then, but that changed when I regret that like it came down to this for me to say. I'm ashamed that it came down to my sister's friend dying, and then I saw the reception from the town responding to it, and I couldn't help but think what they would have thought of me if I would have died. And I knew damn well that it wasn't going to be anything like that. And
I had to do better.
It was, I'll never forget that. Like, I don't want to get into details, but that day, I was like, I'm never going to be mean to someone again. Unwarranted.
Keyword, unwarranted. Because I will be. Don't get that wrong. Again, to defend myself or to stave off someone attacking me, however you want to put it, I will unequivocally, unapologetically defend myself. However that may look. Despite whatever social structure or whatever is in place, I will do it. And I get nasty. But that's what's great about that is I saved that pent up rage from people because there's no shortage of it. People like that really need love, and I don't just like, oh, you attack me first, and now that opens the gates for me to attack you. I always try to be civil first. Primarily, the best way for me to know that we're not playing by the rules, then we're just going to go down this road, is I try to say, look, obviously we have our differences, yada yada yada. How about we just shake hands now and be civil with each other? And if at which point they refuse or they do it and then they continue doing it or anything like that, they don't comply with the agreement that I set to where we can be civil, then I unleash. And I think that's the best system. I think it's only fair, and I think that's and I've yet to see anyone that has a better system in place. Other people have other ideologies, but they're great in theory, but in practice they're terrible, and everything falls apart. But I feel like with what I have in place, it is. I think it's structurally sound, if you would.
It's not gonna happen. But now onto the second phase of my meanness. Because that's how I learned how to deal with my trauma, my getting picked on and everything. So just because that happened doesn't mean it's going to win. This just means I wasn't going to pick on people that didn't ask for it. keyword, didn't ask for it. Now the people that did ask for it. And this is stage 2, and something that I'm still working on to this day, but also realizing recently that just as of recently, I'm learning that it's not okay just because like someone snaps at you to respond by doing something to them. And I really took that to heart. I consider myself a soldier of karma, if you would. If something happened to me, I made it my duty to retaliate and make sure that whatever happened to me was felt. Like some sort of instant karma that like channeled through me. I don't know. I can't at this time explain it exactly with words, but I just couldn't let people get one over on me. It just really, really bothered me.
Yeah, it was like a pet peeve. Having people get one up on me or something. I've learned to like let go of my ego a little bit more when it comes to that. Depending on the circumstances, of course. Sometimes it just calls for it, and like, I don't know, like I'm not 100%. I am a fallible human being. But again, I always try to go the route of communicating, and if it's not received, or it's received poorly, or if I'm mocked, or insert your own verb into that, but like it just adjective, whatever. But like, then I react. Oh, that's what I was gonna say earlier. So then another thing is about how I go about it. I also think there's rules in that too. You can't just because all this stuff happened, all of a sudden you can just be like, well, your hair's ugly or whatever. You can't. I have rules. I don't attack what people look like. I don't attack where they're from. I don't attack these simplistic things, the low-hanging fruit, if you would. What I attack is the content of their character, because I believe those are things that they can adjust. Those are things that they make the decision to be, and finally, because that's where all the best content is anyway. So, yeah. So again, there's structure in place, and man, there's definitely no shortage of people that can just get it every day. Like so many people are their entire personality hinges on being like passive aggressive, and they don't know how to communicate, so they do these things behind your back and then text this other person, do all this other crap when it could have been just resolved quickly, done. But instead, they rather draw it out, and God, it's so ugly. I don't know, but yeah. What was I saying?
And again, I think that stems from my childhood, because like when I was defenseless, powerless, I had a lot of things happen to me, and it bothered me that I couldn't do anything about it. Well, then now getting to this, it's crazy how like now I'm thinking about and talking about it, but like how I got to this second stage of my life where I knew I wasn't gonna like pick on anyone unwarranted, just because I felt like it, but like I was only gonna do it to people that deserved it in my eyes, and or if they did something to me first, and so the hammer came down pretty heavy, because based on people in the environment that I was brought up in, and that I continue to associate with after I came out from job corps, they were doing some pretty, some things that that were pretty heavy, and I was now in a position to where I could respond accordingly in my eyes, and I finally had that power, and I wanted them to know it for a long time, all the way up until I would even dare to say even recently. And I understand it's not right now,
Like, someone shits on you, like, you just have to take it. And I'm having a hard time differentiating, like, when someone's just, like, being a bully. Because, trust me, just because I'm 31 doesn't mean people don't still try to bully me, whether they're younger, older, whatever, like, that doesn't still happen, because it does. But, it's hard to, like I said, it's hard to differentiate, like, okay, do I push back and that way just to get them to stop? Because that's how I grew up. Because
it's. Well, I feel like I'm struggling with it there, but like it's so hard to know when you should push back because that gets people to stop. It's like like you know, I was taught that. I heard a lot of people have been taught about that. I heard about it in movies and everything. But it's like, if someone's picking on you, you push back and then they'll stop. Or stand up for yourself. But now you stand up for yourself and you get in trouble. So like, there is no one way to handle every situation. Every power structure, whether you're at work or just our common laws or whatever. Like, it just seems like there's so many different establishments, if you would, have different ways on how they want it to be handled. So you can handle one thing one way over here, but then on a different day over here, on a different property or something, you handle it the same way, and you could get in trouble for it. So it's like hard knowing exactly how to navigate it. So I think that's why it's so important to have like this internal system. So whenever you do have to explain yourself to these people, if they let you, okay, so a lot of people won't even let you explain yourself, but at least you can tell them, like, hey, look, this is my standpoint and this is where I came from, this is how it all trickled down, and therefore I reacted that way because of that. And I think, again, as like a conscientious person that's able to decide, right from wrong, and all that good stuff, can see that.
You didn't, like, you just sat there and took it, and they would continue to do it. So, yeah, even as I speak this right now, like, I still don't know how to effectively get people to stop. Like, honestly, I don't think a lot of people do. I think that it's I think it's one of the wonders of the world still. It's has yet to be discovered on how to resolve that. But I know it's not okay to retaliate in such a way to where at least it's overbearing and I'm just to show that I'm more powerful than them. At least to my...
Yeah, that was a huge mistake in my earlier days, even as of just 5 years ago. From 18, once I realized it, around 18 to 26, anytime I was messed with or not, I would take it to the extreme, and I would show people I was not one to be reckoned with. And yeah, it almost cost me a lot. It definitely put the fear in me, definitely changed me as a person, and I would say for the better. Made me realize exactly how the world works, how things are to be understood, even if it's not fair, even if it's not. But yeah.
Understanding today, as I'm speaking this, it's okay to do so, just to defend yourself. And and I went to jail over this a couple times. God, it's so ghetto here.
I don't know where I'm at. I think it's my old apartment. Yeah, I got in far more trouble. I was looking at far more time because I reacted to something emotionally than what I consciously did criminally. Far more time, far more trouble. So it is so important. I implore anyone to get their emotions in check. Again, it's in Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature. It's hard because that is us as humans. But for whatever reason, while everything else is okay and goes unchecked, it is important that emotions be checked. I'm not going to get into like who it's okay for and who it's not. There might be some people that can have a little more leverage when it comes to not managing their emotions, but I know, at least from my personal experience, I can sit here and say today that it is vital for me to be able to check my emotions.
God, so ghetto.
I do not miss the city. I kind of do. I miss good internet connection. That's what I miss. If I had great internet connection on here, I'd stay forever.
Everybody in here is calling the cops. Good.
God, so ghetto here. You guys are fucking up my flow. God, I hate this crackhead shit. Yeah, but I've been there, and you know what? This reminds me of something. So I went to treatment my first time in 2014, August of 2014, July, August, whatever. Anyway, and that was my first real introduction to like the Serenity Prayer, to all these chants or whatever they fucking do. Not that I'm knocking it. I think it's great, whatever. But here I have a hard time warming up to something when I can see the hypocrisy. And let me tell you, boys and girls, that is a lot of the time. And no, I'm so ghetto. Come on, stop being ghetto. And in this instance, we were outside smoking cigarette, and, you know, I think we just got out of a meeting, and we're like, yeah, addicts, cool, da-da-da, you know, like...
We weren't addicts, cool, but, like, I didn't articulate that well. But part of the Serenity Prayer is, like, pray for those who still need help and whatnot. And, you know, it was all heartfelt, and it felt real and whatnot. Like I said, this was my first time in it, so I was like, all right, I'll give it. You know, I was giving everyone a benefit of the doubt. You know, yeah, this is powerful stuff. Right after that meeting, we went outside and smoked cigarettes, and then
recovery did, you know, and like we're like, pray for those who've, you know, who are still hurting, and we're like, yeah, man, I feel that. It was all good and gravy. Then we go outside and smoke a cigarette, and there's about 8 of us, right? Well, then we see some dude walking down the street. This is downtown Spokane, right? We see some dude walking down the street, flailing, whatever. Well, then all these fucks, dude, started fucking name calling, hoot, holler, making fun of him and shit, dude. And I'm sitting there like, didn't we just say a prayer for those who are still suffering? Didn't we just do that? Man.
And I called everyone on it too. I was like, how y'all gonna do that? And I was waiting for them to go, oh, fuck you, Nick, and do that. Because that was just gonna reaffirm my whole thought process on it. You know, just like, yep, okay, so this is bullshit. Thank you, now I know. And then just end with that. But,
Man. It's like these people are just saying the words, and they think just because they say the words, that it's gonna have some kind of impact.
yeah, I don't know about that. I think some people might believe it, but I think it's one thing to say it, but then to actually put it into action, put it into motion. I think a lot of people have a hard time doing that, myself included, with a lot of things. But you can't just get off, the high of recovery and then not put in action. There's work. You have to put in the work. That is so vital. It's so important. And it was just missing so much of the time. Recovery. It was so long ago. I'm sorry. I don't even try to think about it that much anymore. Like, I broke off. They're like, you have to go about this way, this way, and this way, and this way. And I was like, like I said earlier in the beginning of this, like I kind of like opted out of social. I was like, we'll see. Everything's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I have a little over 5 years, clean off hard drugs. I've relapsed a couple times, but it's always because of the system I built internally to check myself that got me back off of it. So, I don't know, but they don't really teach you that. They teach you to be hooked on NA. They teach you to be hooked on something else. They don't teach you how to build that internally. At least from what I could tell, from my limited experience. I could be wrong, but it just seemed like there was such codependency with that program. For me, it just, I'm good. I think I'm good where I am today.
But it's like they fail to understand that you gotta live that, man. You gotta believe it. You gotta own it. You gotta live it. Oops. And, dude, what is wrong with you right now? Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. So this whole thing, I don't know. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Conclusion will be, dude just wrote me back. I was nervous to reread these things because, like I said, I just got a glimpse of what he said, but I don't want to cry. It's not that I want anything on him. It's nothing. It's just genuine, like, dude, I was not nice. I could have been a better person. Should have been more understanding. I'm just ashamed that I didn't expect more of myself. That I allowed myself to be like that. I think that is what it boils down to. If I had put in the thing, like, it's like, especially for who I am today, like, the fact that, like, man, if I would have seen myself back then, I would have been the father figure I needed. And, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm just working on it today. That's all I can do. And, that's my notes.
Yeah, same with that. I think I'm gonna end that here, at least for this one, so I get another episode up, so I can find some content, what I can go over, what I can talk about. But again, life's a trip, and we just go through it day by day. And I guess my one thing is like, just I can't stop learning. Like, I have to stay curious. And the minute I lose that, I think everything will fall apart. So yeah, that's what I live for. I used to be suicidal. I used to hate life. I used to all that stuff. But then once I realized that there's so much to learn, and that's the thing that pushes me every day, is educating myself and learning about new things and whatnot. So, but again, thank you for listening, and until next time.